Hello, in this video I'll be using this homemade puff pastry from my last video, and I'll be turning it into two different savoury tarts, a tomato tart and a confit onion tart. It's two slightly different techniques, so give you some ideas to use for you to use your homemade puff pastry, or to use the shop bought one that you've bought as well. Don't worry, I won't tell a soul. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with this, and I think you're going to really like this one. All right. So as we get to slicing up a load of onion, and I will put the ingredients, the recipes below in the description, but it's more of a guide really. But for your information, it was 3 medium onions finely sliced up and a whacking great big load of extra virgin olive oil. Seems a lot for one little tart, but the onion gets heavily reduced and concentrated, and the olive oil will not be wasted because it's going to make a gorgeous dressing. So I'm starting this over the heat and I'm paying attention to it. I'm not leaving this alone. I'm stirring it while the heat's up high. I then turn it down really low, get a few other things doing, but do not forget this is on the stove because you don't want to burn it. It's a lot of effort, and it's almost there. It's sort of really caramelized, yes, but not quite enough. And there, oh my goodness, that is ready. It's going to be so concentrated. And so the oil gets drained and not thrown away. As I say, we're going to make a dressing with that, and there goes the onion. And I'm sort of filming this out of sequence, or I'm editing it out of sequence to try to make it entertaining for you, but I did that onion quite a bit earlier. So here's rolling the pastry that I made in my last video, and obviously links for that, but please do go and watch that if you're interested in making your own puff pastry. As I say, I'll forgive you if you just use some shop bought. It's nice, it's good stuff. Anyway, so rolling it out. How thick? I mean, it's sort of not too thin. Really not too thin. I think I'll go to sort of around about 1/2 centimetre, maybe a shade thinner than 1/2 centimetre. That is a little bit less than 1/4 inch. So you've got an idea. If you go too thin, you're not going to get any rise at all out of this. And I am, again, like if you saw the video where I made this pastry, I'm trying to keep this rectangular shape thing going, just because it's going to be easier for portioning the tarts, a little bit less waste, etc., etc. And there we go. I'm happy with that. So, as I say, we're making 2 tarts out of this, trimming off one end there and cutting it roughly in the middle. Again, that's sort of showing you, I don't know how thick we call that. It's not super thin. So I've got a couple of baking sheets lined with paper. And there go the pieces. Now I'm going to start with the tomato tart. So this process is called docking. The idea is it's supposed to actually not make it rise too much, but you're told to do it, so I do it. I don't know what happens if you don't. I think maybe it rises perhaps a little bit less evenly if you don't do this. It sort of lets some of the steam escape. And those were breadcrumbs and Dijon mustard. So I brushed it with Dijon, sprinkled it with some breadcrumbs. As breadcrumbs help to soak up some of the sort of juice from the tomatoes, which I'm getting in a bit of a faff about where to start to make it look nice in the video. And then I just went, well, stop dilly-dallying and just get on with it. So laying the tomatoes on there, so on top of the pastry, the mustard, the breadcrumbs, there's lots of tomatoes. As I say, like, a recipe doesn't really work. It's just how many tomatoes you've got to put on a bit of pastry. Lots and lots of seasoning. So that was flaky salt and black pepper and more olive oil into the oven. We'll display the temperature on the screen. And that took around about 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. But you keep your eye on it, and you want the bottom to be, crisp. And then you think, give up with the old pizza roller. Just go in with a knife because it wasn't working. It would have looked good though, wouldn't it? And there you go. I was just cutting off a piece, and I tried that whilst getting this onion tart ready. So there we go. I don't know what thickness you call that, but I think it's important that it's not too thin. And this one, I'm wasting a bit of the pastry, but for this, it goes back in the fridge and I'm going to use it for something else. In fact, some friends came around. I made them some cheese straws. I do have a recipe from ages ago for cheese straws. I'll share a link to that as well. So what I'm doing here is very carefully scoring, not cutting through the pastry. I'm not going all the way through, just gently scoring to try to create a border. And I'm going to do the docking inside that border. And the idea is, this is sort of a vol au vent technique. It's a big vol au vent, but it's essentially a vol au vent. onto the baking sheet, again in the oven, and managed to get a bit of a film of it rising, and I was very pleased that it did rise. That was sped up, obviously, and but it didn't rise up any more on the outside than it did in the middle, so I don't know if that docking process, if it's all that, I don't know. I just do it because I was told to do it by better chefs than me. And look at that, isn't that lovely and crispy? So here's just quickly making that dressing, so don't go to waste. There's the olive oil, and then goes some red wine vinegar, followed by a dollop of Dijon mustard, some salt and pepper, and you give that a shake, and that will keep in your fridge, I mean, for a very long time. Although you're gonna consume it before it would get anywhere near going bad. And there we go. So that's to one side. Let's remove. So that is the point of scoring it. We're trying to create like a lid that we can then use, sort of like if you want to present this, especially if you put like a hot filling in it, and it would look really good when that's sitting on top. But the sort of pastry in the middle, bit gooey, so we'll remove that. So back onto a sheet, and in goes the onions. These onions are sort of room temperature at this stage. And as I say, that was 3 whole onions, and I used the whole lot. So just sort of tidy that up a little bit there. And I had some goat's cheese. Goat's cheese just works so beautifully with the onion, especially when it's caramelized like this. So cover that with that, and then back in the oven for 5 to 10 minutes. So just get hot again. Don't worry, the cheese doesn't have to melt. Some cheeses don't melt in the same way as others. And then I just sort of present that as best as I can, although I never win any awards for my presentation. I just don't have the imagination. But there you go, that looks nice, doesn't it? I think if you did that in front of some friends, they'd be well happy. And, oh, crunch. Oh, flaky pastry, homemade, and the tomato, oh, so good. And I'm going to hand you over to me for the tasting. Right, there you are. There's a couple of quite different techniques to use with puff pastry. One, quite a lot of work. That vol au vent was not easy to make, and used up an awful lot of onion for a small amount, but my God, is it spectacularly tasty. And I forgot, because I'm an idiot, to present it with the with the top. But anyway, you can always show people that on the side. Let's have another go while we're here, and say, that is not to underestimate how delicious the tomato tart is. And as I say, an awful lot more simple to make. And, oh, you hear the crunch. Perfectly crispy, flaky, buttery puff pastry. So with the, a lot of the shop bought stuff may not necessarily have butter. I'm sure you can go to a very fine shop somewhere and buy some real like artisan, fantastic puff pastry. I have no doubt that would be better than this. I'm not trying to say this is the best puff pastry out there. What I'm trying to show you is that you can make a delicious puff pastry. It is absolutely stunning, and I am kind of breaking my low carb thing to make this for you. So I hope you appreciate that. Thank you very much for watching, liking and subscribing, commenting, sharing, all of that stuff, because we know it works. And I will catch you in the next video pretty soon. Bye. Oh, it's the onion.